What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Monday NBA Hardwood show. I'm joined by my boys, Hoop and Mangone. We got a nice 9-game slate today. Mondays is always usually pretty big. Coming off a big NFL Sunday yesterday. Our Showdown, we'll get to the members never win segment in a little bit, but Showdown absolutely smashed. Big T's core was on fire, on point, and a lot of shippers with the RPS logo up top. So it was a good Sunday. I'm excited to dive into this nice 9-game slate. I'll go over to you first, Mangone. How was your Monday? How was your Sunday and your weekend yesterday?
Yeah, overall, all good. Excited to be here. Excited the NBA is back. I guess it's almost a week, right? We got 6 days so far of NBA. So tomorrow will be a full week. Excited to break it down with you guys. Excited for NFL tonight, even though it's a bit of a gross slate. But last night wasn't too bad to me. And hopefully we can have another decent Showdown slate. And as members, right, if you're not signed up, you missed out. And don't miss out today, because I'm sure Big T's got the player pool, the core plays. We got the playbook. We got it all over here at Run Pure Sports. So don't miss out.
Absolutely. And if you guys are tuning in, please hit the like and subscribe button for us, please. A free show, big slate, giving winners. Hit the like and subscribe button. It does go a long way. Throw it over to you, Hoop. How was your weekend? And any first thoughts on this slate? It's a 9-gamer, so I like it a lot.
Yeah, solid weekend. Solid slate here to kick off the week for NBA. Obviously, we also have NFL Showdown going tonight. Another crappy game. Some weather concern. Last night was like a freaking monsoon, but it sounds like tonight's kind of not going to be as bad as last night. There will be rain. There will be some wind, but not as bad as last night. Last night was like a hurricane. And yeah, the members crushed. I mean, obviously we had Carson Wentz on the slate. So, Big T was putting him in the MVP spot, captain spot. And that kind of turned out to be the winning move. So if you're out there and you kind of tailed Big T and went with his core, it would have been very hard to play Big T's core and not make money last night, I guess is what I'm trying to say. In the NBA tonight, 9 games. It's a solid slate. The sites still continue, I think, to do a pretty poor job with pricing overall. It's really disappointing for NBA purposes. I mean, we have new slates. We have, six days now in, like Mangone said. The pricing overall just continues to be pretty poor overall. FanDuel, I don't know what they want to see out of Valanciunas before they bump him out of the 6.5K range. I'm baffled by that. There's some other bad prices, and DraftKings just overall soft. But we'll go through and we'll find a way to lock in some winners here. And there's some news, quite a bit of news actually, that we're still waiting on. Bradley Beal's questionable, Jeremy Grant, Vucevic. I think those three are I think Beal, they said, is plans on playing. I believe I saw at some point, but Vucevic, Jeremy Grant, pretty big news. So maybe we'll get some of that here throughout the show.
Yeah, definitely a lot of injury to Jaylen Brown too. We'll get to the injury news before each game, but yeah, I mean, FanDuel and Valanciunas, I don't know if they just want everyone to play him every day. I did not expect to play Joe Val every slate for the first week, but he's too cheap again. So hey, I don't know if you're not a member, we gave you a freebie on the cash chart. Joe Val on FanDuel is a very strong play. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. See some familiar faces in chat: Paraboy, Slick Derulo, Cesar Martinez, Jeremy Douglas, our boy Glock, Steve Anthony. Thanks for hanging out. And then Ryan S says, no Big T equals no workbench tonight. Another sad day for the boys. Ryan S, that's another reason to be a member. Big T is on the Up to Lock show more often than not. You guys gotta pay for his premium knowledge. If you're not a member, RPS NBA 15 gets you 15% off your life subscription. Then you can see who Big T's on, who JSU is on. The cash chart, which has all the player pool that we're Mangone, Hoop, myself, 2 of us do it every day. Our player pool and 3 core plays that we tag. Our GPP cores from all of our GPP tournament players. FanDuel, Yahoo, DraftKings, Super Draft, and then the playbook. AP, Glaucoma, and Gary, one of them are on it every single day, breaks down the whole slate, favorite players, favorite value, payoffs, stuff like that. And then AP does a heat map as well. So a bunch of content over here, like Hoop said, or Mangone might have, but NFL Showdown's there tonight. We'll have core plays. The playbook's already up for that. So great time to be a member. RPS NBA 15 is the promo code, 15% off. Then talking about the members never win. A lot of members over the weekend had some nice big wins. We'll start with college football. Tiwi Rich won $2,600 in college football. Congrats to you. I see you in Discord. and Twitter and stuff. So congrats to you. Great win. PGA, our boy John Galt won $7,500. He keeps crushing. He had a second in the Millie Maker. It was a third not too long ago. PGA, he absolutely crushed. Our PGA content's been an absolute fire. So congrats to you, John Galt. EPL, soccer has absolutely been killing it. Russell won $28K. I saw multiple other hits in soccer as well. Our boy Lance won $20K not too long ago on a single entry. So soccer content's been killing it. Congrats to you, Russell. Esports, Lion Cubs won $35,000 in esports. Congrats to you. I mean, this just shows one price, all the sports. There's no better deal in the industry. MLB, Phil Ruffy won $50,000, took down the Showdown. We had a member take second place in the Showdown as well a couple nights ago. Big T and the guys have absolutely been crushing it. People don't understand the pitchers and the relief pitchers are always coming about 5% owned, and they just continue to crush. So can get in the MLB streets. We still have the World Series. It's been an absolute printer. NFL, we had a couple big wins too. Drew Annis, our boy Drew, won $8,600. Chief U won $17,500 in the Showdown. Okie Horn won $17,000 as well. So 3 big NFL wins. Shout out to you guys. And then NBA, Midic won $200,000. I think we covered that once, but I mean, absolutely insane. Who got anything to say? I mean, that was like 6 different sports, big winners.
Yeah, I mean, all these sports, it's wild. And I think the most shocking part about all those, the entire readout is that there's like esports prize pools that are that big. Did you say someone won $35K in esports?
Yeah, I think that
during
was
football. When was that?
I think it was the live qualifier actually. I think it wasn't live, but I think it was the qualifier. I don't know. I read what Simon says on the notes. Yeah. And that's what it said. So
that's crazy. During NFL season, I better get back in the esports streets. I mean, I played a little bit during COVID, but I didn't know the prize pools were still that big. Our boy Captain, very, very solid in the esports department. So I'm gonna have to hit him up and get some of these plays.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, Simon, my sync something went off for some reason. I'll try and fix that when we get into the game, my voice and my picture. But yeah, absolutely monster.
Hey, you're still getting set up in the new location, and we'll give you, you got a little grace period here,
Yeah, no, yeah. I love my old setup, the move. It's been a little tilting, getting all figured out, the lights, everything. But hopefully the echo is better than it was last Wednesday. Moved the rooms, got some stuff in my apartment now, so hopefully I do get this synced though. We'll get right into the NBA slate. I mean, 9 games, so good slate, a lot of stuff to target, and I'll jump right into it. And I'll go to you first, Mangone. The first game on the slate, my Milwaukee Bucks taking on the Pacers. A big boy total at 230.5. The Bucks are favored by 2. I'll go right over to you, Mangone. How do you see this game, and who are some guys you're targeting?
Yeah, I mean, it seems pretty simple to just like stack Pacers games right now. I mean, sure, the other day it was like a little rough with that Heat game, but you got the overtime that kind of went your way if you did play those guys. And obviously Lowry was out, so that was big. But listen, Pacers games are going to be ones that we want to load up on. We want to load up on, I think, guys like Chris Middleton, Giannis, 2 of these stronger plays on the slate. Not a ton of rim protection to worry about on the Bucks side. So Sabonis on the opposite side could easily get the job done. Of course, it depends what they do with Giannis, right? I mean, Giannis can obviously protect the rim, but if they do go small ball, the game will play a little bit faster. Miles Turner is someone that he had a massive game the other day. I mean, I couldn't believe it when I saw he had 64 fantasy points against the Wizards. Now, will that happen again? Probably not, but he is someone that probably has a little bit more upside within this offense right now and in the situation that they're in. Chris Duarte has been amazing for them as a rookie. He's an older rookie title. I don't know if you notice, he's 24 years old. So he's not like your typical rookie. He's not just right out of high school and then 1-year player. So he's a little bit more of a developed guy, which kind of makes me want to buy on him even more. So I like him. He's definitely pretty good. The problem is, what do you do with the price tag? Do you want to pay it at 5.4? Is it still worth it on DraftKings? One reason I think it might be is the shooting guard position is a bit weak, and I think that makes some sense to go there. And then Malcolm Brogdon, he feels like a really good contrarian tournament play that I don't think people are going to be on as much, because I think pricing just doesn't get you there. I think you're on other plays because of other games and other injuries. And I think Malcolm Brogdon is going to be a really good run back that gets really overlooked on this slate.
Yeah, I definitely some good calls. And of course, Mangone, I know who Chris Duarte is. On Wednesday, Nobody really knew about him. He was the SO play of the day. He was 17% owned in tournaments. And unfortunately, well, now DraftKings finally priced him up, but he was 60, 70%. They somehow kept his price tag at 3.5K around there after that. And he's been mega chalk, but finally DraftKings raised his price. Chris Duarte, absolute stud out of Oregon. So I do like that call. And he's not going to be as owned as he has been with that elevated price tag. Hoop, I'll throw it over to you. A lot of big names. We got Giannis. Talk about Nwora a little bit, and anybody else you like in this game.
Yeah, I mean, so the highest total on the slate at about second highest. So we got the Blazers and Clippers are 231. This 231, whatever, 230, 231 total in this game, whatever. But outside of Giannis, I don't think anyone's going to be like super popular to the point in tournaments that you need to look to fade. It's a really good spot here, obviously, for the Bucks without Drew Holiday, without Brook Lopez. Now they might get Bobby Portis back. I don't think that changes too much. I mean, it might take away from Nwora a little bit. I mean, but the main guys here are Giannis and obviously Middleton too, who, he's 7-2 on DK. I think that is a good price tag for both these guys. And Giannis price tag is a joke. I mean, he's actually ran pretty bad fantasy wise to start the season. Foul trouble. I believe it was on Saturday, so didn't get his full allotment of run. He picked up, I believe, fourth foul pretty early into the second half. So we really haven't seen him play a ton of minutes yet this season. So from a fantasy perspective, he's ran pretty bad, but 10-4 on DK is just a silly price tag for him. It's just a bad price tag. These stars need to be much more expensive. I mean, they need to be 11K plus. And you're not getting that early on out of DraftKings. And I hope that changes at some point this season because the soft pricing benefits no one. Middleton, great play at 7-2. And then, the guys that I think are real low under these Pacers guys, like Mangone said, Brogdon. No one's going to play Brogdon. He's got 3 straight games, like around 55 fantasy points, somewhere in that range. This Duarte guy looks real solid. I mean, he looks really, really good. Not a typical rookie that comes out and a little rusty to start. I mean, he's right in there taking big shots at the end of games. So you definitely love that. Sabonis should be low owned. Miles Turner, massive game. Obviously, last week I think it was their second game. Price tag still fair, 5.5, 5.7. So this is an opportunity here outside of Giannis, who will have some ownership to get exposure to probably the best game environment on the slate for at pretty low ownership. So love this game all around.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's the second biggest over under, slightly more than the last game we'll talk about. But Giannis underpriced, like you said. He's one of the best spend ups on the slate. A couple other guys. I think the Indiana value is interesting. Jeremy Lamb's down there at 3,500. He gets shooting guard and small forward eligible, which is always nice on DraftKings too. So I think he's a solid value if you want to go all the way down. And then Miles Turner, I have some interest in on both sides. He's a double-double monster. He has a lot of upside. On FanDuel, he has a lot of stock upside. And with Giannis playing with center lately, I mean, Miles Turner should have a big game, I think. So I like this game all around. I wouldn't be afraid to get a couple pieces in it. And we're going to get to the next game, which has some injury news, but also locks at 7 p.m. Eastern. I'm not scared to take up a couple of these 7 p.m. Eastern spots in my lineup today because the big news, Jaylen Brown, as we get to the next game, is questionable, but we'll get that news before lock since it locks right away too. So I like this game for sure. Big boy over under, and I like both sides of it. We'll get into the next game though. Like I mentioned, Boston Celtics and the Hornets. Boston are 1-point favorites. We have a 223.5 over under. And like I said, Jaylen Brown is questionable. Very big news on the slate. If he's ruled out again, Jason Tatum becomes a very elite play. Robert Williams has a good price tag. Al Horford's smart. All of Boston gets a bump if Jaylen Brown is out. And then on the Hornets side, PJ Washington is questionable too. We get a little boost to guys like Bridges and Gordon Hayward and stuff, but not as big as the Jaylen Brown news. Hoop, I'll go right back to you. Boston and the Hornets. Who do you have interest in?
Yeah, I mean, it really comes down to whether or not Jaylen Brown plays or not. If he plays, probably not much on the Boston side and probably not much in this game. If he sits, we're going to be coming here for quite a few guys. Al Horford's also questionable too, so that plays a pretty big role. I'd imagine that Horford would sit. Jaylen Brown, I think it seems more truly 50-50. But this game, especially on the Boston side, is 100% dependent on what happens with Jaylen Brown. If he's in, like I said, this game is one that we probably don't play all that much. If he's out, we're going to Jason Tatum. We're going to go to, Schroeder, who played like 33 minutes and looked pretty good. Those would be the two main guys that I'd be playing if Brown's out. But if he's in, I probably won't be coming here. On the Hornets side, man, I've been playing a lot of LaMelo in tournaments. I don't understand what's going on with the minutes. I mean, maybe you guys have a better read. 29, and then 26. Like, I don't know. I mean, they're winning ball games, so I mean, maybe they have some sort of plan, but it doesn't seem all that sharp to only play this guy 29, and 26 minutes. I love him from a fantasy perspective, but if he's not going to be out there at least 30 minutes, it's really hard to invest in him. 8-2 on FanDuel, 7-8 on DK. I mean, if we get any sort of word that he's going to start playing like 35 minutes, 34 minutes, he's a strong play. But until then, it's pretty damn risky. Even with Rozier out. I mean, Rozier is out. Rozier's been banged up even when he played. Not getting over 30 minutes, it just is so weird to me. So it makes it very hard to play him. And really, he's the only guy that I'd have interest in on that Hornet side of things.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with LaMelo Ball's minutes either. He should be in the mid-30s, and he has a lot of upside. If he gets to the mid-30s right now, pretty low ownership today, no Rozier, he'd be one of my favorite plays on the board. I'm still I'm 150 on FanDuel today. I'm mixing in a little MME. I'm definitely going to be overweight on LaMelo because we know that upside, but his minutes are concerning for sure. Mangone, I'll throw it over to you. Do you know what's going on with LaMelo's minutes? Do you have interest in him today? Anybody else in this game that you like?
I do know what's going on with LaMelo's minutes. It's funny you asked that because I kind of stumbled upon it. So I know what's going on with the first game. The first game, Borrego admitted he was wrong. He said, I should have played LaMelo more minutes. I should be playing him more minutes. Second game, I don't have the answer. Third game, I do know what happened. There was a quote from LaMelo, and the coach tried to put LaMelo Ball in. He was calling him to the table. He said, come on, you're in. He said, no, I'm not going in. They're playing great without me. I don't need to be in there. Like, they're playing great. Let's keep them rolling. So I do think Hoop is right. There is risk to his minutes, but I don't think that the 28 to 29 minutes is guaranteed. You are going to see, I think, at times where it does pop up. It's just, when is it going to happen, right? I do think at times it'll get more consistent. You'll see it going, but don't be shocked, right, if he plays 33 minutes for 3 straight games, and then it randomly does go back down to 25. I think you could just see some randomness to it, which makes him a little less secure in cash games. But with no Terry Rozier, I think his role is a lot more secure. Gets a pretty good spot here. So I like LaMelo Ball. And the other issue is it's not that he might not be on my cash teams or my one lineup. And the reason why is the guard position is very loaded, right? That's one of the issues that we have here on this slate. It's a good issue to have, which again causes Malcolm Brogdon, who we talked about earlier, to be lower owned. But I think that's going to be one thing that kind of depresses LaMelo's ownership on this slate.
Mangone, that's very good information. Now I feel even better about playing LaMelo Ball. Very, I guess, team player to not want to go in because they're doing well. You don't hear that very often, that someone doesn't go in, but good information.
Hype Gotti says in chat that it was 3,012 minutes for game 2. So I forgot to look at the fouls. That's definitely something I should have looked at when I pulled up the box score real quick. But that's a great point with that. So it's clear that he could pop off here for sure. I definitely think it's a good spot to keep buying on him as the couple weeks move on here.
Yeah, I mean, I love what I hear about that. Rozier is out, so I definitely have a lot of interest. Before we get into the next game, looking at the likes, we got 400 watching, only 112 likes. We definitely can do a lot better than that. Hit the like and subscribe button for us, please. Great Monday slate, 9 games, big prize pools. Hit the like and subscribe button. Get some good mojo rolling in. We'll go over to the next game, though. Detroit Pistons and the Atlanta Hawks. The Hawks are 11.5-point favorites, one of the biggest favorites on the slate. 213.5 over under. Hoop, I'll go back to you. Not too much interest in this game. I'm worried about a blowout a little bit, but anybody that you can make a case for.
2 teams for DFS purposes that typically aren't all that appealing. On the Detroit side, I mean, they're just a shitty team, and they just still play like a lot of guys. Now, this is another situation where things could potentially change. Jeremy Grant is questionable. If he were to sit maybe we take a look at some of these guys. Maybe Kelly Olynyk gets in there and starts. Josh Jackson, maybe. I don't know. It still might not be enough to really play these guys. We'll have to see how it all shakes out and who's starting. 7:30 Eastern game. We'll definitely have the news at lock. The Atlanta Hawks for the last season and the beginning of this season, it's got too many damn guys that play and that are productive, and they have a strong second unit that comes in, and if they're playing well, they'll ride these guys, late into the second quarter. So it's a team that we typically don't love for DFS. Is Gallinari back too, by the way? Let me see. Is Mangone, is he coming? Is he playing?
Who's playing?
Game time. It doesn't. Gallinari. That doesn't change all that much either way.
I don't think you want to really mess with too many of these guys anyways, but I don't think
that's the main point. I mean, it's a team that we haven't really been playing for DFS purposes. They're too
He's
deep.
questionable, yeah.
Yeah, all right, so still questionable. I'm just not interested in the Hawks, not all that interested in the Pistons. Like I said, the only thing that would change is if Jeremy Grant is out. I might take a look at some of these other guys, but we already have a lot of value. We have cheap price tags. I don't know if you even really need to do it regardless.
Yeah, sorry. I was trying to fix this lay. I have no clue what's going on. This is new setups tilting me, but hey, at least my Wi-Fi is going. I can hear everyone clear and they can hear me, but that's what I was trying to do. He's still questionable though. Mangone, throw it over to you. Any interest in this game?
Not necessarily. Like, it's just, you look at the Hawks side and it's tough. And even if Gallinari did play, his minutes probably won't do much. They had like Capella limited randomly. We just know that with McMillan, it's just a disaster over there. So not super interested in these guys. Sure, if could Trae Young go for 50 or 60 fantasy points? Yes. If you think he does, then play him if you'd like to. I don't. I think there's other guys that I would prefer. Detroit Pistons, they're not the most glamorous plays on this slate, but there are some value plays that you can go to. And I think I don't have him on the cash chart now, but I understand if like you want to take a shot on Frank Jackson if he's starting because he's at the shooting guard position, like you could, but I don't love it. And that's really all I really want to mess with in this game. I just don't think I need to go there. There's just better spots on this slate. It's a big one. It's not like it's a 3-4 gamer where we have to really dive into some of these plays. So I'm kind of out on this game.
Yeah. If you want to go a Trae Young, he's going to be low owned. He can blow up at any time. I like a lot of other studs more. Frank Jackson's an interesting call. I think there are some better value plays maybe, but he is going to be low owned. And if he does start, I think he is interesting in tournaments. That's a good call. I'll go right back to you with the next game though, Mangone. The Wizards and the Nets. The Nets are 7-point favorites, 228.5 over under. Talk to me what you're going to do about James Harden. He's definitely getting some steam today. Kevin Durant in tournaments talk about, and then Bradley Beal. We don't know his status yet, but if he is out, Dinwiddie, Kuzma become very elite plays. Talk about this game as a whole.
Yeah. Sorry, I was messaging someone from our chat that's asked me cash game questions, which actually is a good segue title. If you ever have cash game strategy questions, feel free to hit us up in the Discord chat, right, Title? I mean, we're always willing to answer these questions and stuff. And got someone asking me about the cash chart and how to use it. So, I'm trying to give them a little bit of a heads up on how to use that thing. So which game are we on again? My apologies.
We are on the Nets and the Wizards. You are good.
Yeah, good one too, actually. This game is definitely going to be a good one to watch. And there's injury news, right? Obviously, we lost LaMarcus Aldridge, which is nice because then it helps that front court a little bit. But do we want to take risks still on these guys? I think in cash games, like maybe a Claxton, I think he can make some sense at 3.6K, especially because he's going up against this Washington Wizards team where they're going to play at a faster pace. Maybe you get to see that, pick and roll action between Harden and Claxton. And we know that's when Claxton's at his best, when he's on the floor with James Harden. If Claxton is not starting, I would not like him. I want him on the floor with James Harden. That's when he performs the best. I believe last year, and maybe he didn't end the year that way, but at one point, like Claxton's on-off splits, like with Harden and without, they were drastic numbers. So I need him in the starting lineup with James Harden in order to play him. I think Harden is a better play over Kevin Durant, just because I know the position is a little bit deeper at the point guard spot, but I do think the price tag is nice on James Harden. They are talking about how they want him to get a little more involved. And I think you could see a really good James Harden spot coming. On the opposite side, we need Bradley Beal news, right? There was talks Bradley Beal, if he plays, he's going to be covering Kevin Durant. If he's not there, that's going to be really big for KD because that means KD's going to be able to do whatever he wants. Sure, Bradley Beal is not going to be able to stop him. No one can stop Kevin Durant, but it can slow him down enough where Kevin Durant could just kind of pass the ball off to some other guys instead. So I think that's going to be really important news. And obviously, if Beal is out, then you're going to see Spencer Dinwiddie in a revenge game, who's going to be a really great play. Even though the price tag has gone up, I wouldn't ignore him completely. Kyle Kuzma at 6'7", he might be a bit of a better play than a guy like Dinwiddie at 7K because the positions, right? You get him at the small forward, power forward position, a little bit more flexibility there. And then Montrezl Harrell off the bench has been pretty good. He's at center eligibility. He's 5.4K. I think that those are going to be the guys that I mix and match throughout my lineups. And then one more guy I would talk about if Beal's out, Contagious Caldwell-Pope. Now, again, not the most fun play to play, but shooting guard is, again, a position that I think punting it or going a little bit cheaper is not the worst idea. And if you do that, shooting guard eligible, 3.8K. I think KCP is definitely in play if Bradley Beal is out.
Yep, definitely. Bradley Beal is very big news on this slate, so it's something to monitor. I'm seeing ownership projections having Harden more popular than Kevin Durant, which I do see. For me, anytime that really happens, I just go way more Kevin Durant than Harden in tournaments. I personally like Kevin Durant more. Think he's a better basketball player. However, Harden does have the peripherals and the triple-double upside a little more, whereas assists aren't always there for KD as much. But give me Kevin Durant in tournaments personally at reduced ownership. Hoop, I'll go over to you. Harden and KD, talk about those two. Talk about Bradley Beal's situation, if he's in, if he's out, and anything else in this game.
Yeah, the Harden Durant situation. I mean, Harden's going to be way more popular. He's cheaper on both the main sites. Good matchup here against the Wizards. I agree with your logic, though. Like in tournaments, look to flip it, and you can definitely play both these guys. DeAndre Hunter ruled out, so maybe we will check out some hot. Cam Reddish looked really, really good, actually. I don't know what game that was. I don't know if he's been continuing to play good, but
someone asked him earlier before we even got on in the chat. Cam Reddish 4.7K. So yeah, I mean, I think that's interesting too. Touch on that, that price a little bit.
I mean, I'm assuming he slides into the starting lineup. That would be my assumption. He kind of comes in for Hunter and basically same price. These guys are what, he's 4.7 on DK. Very appealing play. I mean, he's played well. The price is respectable. He's going to get probably 30 minutes tonight. Definitely have to do a little more digging, but right out of the gate, I think it looks like a solid option. Back to the Nets side, though, Harden's going to be popular tonight. He's had 3, I'd say, down games for James Harden in terms of fantasy purposes, getting to the line, 3 times per game. These new rules are clearly affecting him in a negative way. I know that small sample size, but he's the one guy, I'd say more so than anyone else, that took advantage of those shooting fouls in the past, where he gets guys in the air, kind of leans in and gets the line. He'd always, keep that ball down low and come up when he shoots right across his arm foul. He's not getting those calls this year, and that could just be a small sample size thing, that it's only 3 games in, but that's somewhat concerning for him for fantasy purposes, because free throws for James Harden are typically just points because he's, really good at the free throw line and he gets there a ton. So, but no, he's a great play. I mean, great matchup here. Durant, like you said, great tournament play. His ownership's going to be way, way lower than Harden. This team's frustrating though, man, with these bigs. I mean, I know LaMarcus Aldridge is out tonight on the back-to-back, but man, like, they still got Blake, they still have Claxton, James Johnson, Paul Millsap. Who's coaching this team? Is it what's the dude's name?
Steve
You guys know?
It's still Nash.
Nash. Yeah. He seems kind of lost with the rotations and everything. He doesn't seem like he knows what he wants to do with these guys. The rotation.
I think it's really simple. Bruce Brown kind of got addressed about it early in the season, and he's like, I'm just gonna stay ready, I'll be fine. I think they're just experimenting, right? I mean, they're the Nets. They can do what they want. If people are everyone wants to watch First Take, and people are probably the Nets lose tonight, they'll be like, oh, the Nets, is there something wrong with them? It's I don't know, they got these new pieces. I think they're just messing with it, which in DFS, we can exploit that, right? We can either try and take shots in tournaments on some of these cheaper value plays and hope that one of them is the guys that gets the minutes, or just avoid the situation completely rather than play the guessing.
I think more of it's the roster they put together. Why the hell do you have Blake Griffin, LaMarcus Aldridge, and Paul Millsap on your roster? That's just unnecessary. It's 3 guys that are at the same point of their career, on the verge of being 100% dusted.
2012 All-Star team.
Seriously.
Maybe the hope is like by the end of the year, like it's kind of like Squid Game soup where one makes it, right? One makes it to the finish
It's possible.
line.
Doesn't LaMarcus have the heart issue? I mean, you never know.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely viable, right? One makes it across the finish line, the other two are on the IR. You fill it with another spot. I don't know. It is.
It could definitely be. It definitely could be the case. On the Wizards side, though, it all comes down to Beal. I mean, if he plays or he doesn't. If he's in, I think he's interesting for tournaments. If he's out, we're going to Spencer Dinwiddie. We're going to Kyle Kuzma. We're going to Caldwell Pope, like Mangone mentioned. We're loading up. Like if Beal's out, if he's in, probably not going to play any of those guys. So it's very simple. And, that stuff, we're going to get some of the injury news. Just got another piece. PJ Washington is out. So that kind of makes those Hornets guys a little more appealing. So you got Washington and Rozier out. So, you can kind of look up some Hornets guys, I think, now.
Yeah, the PJ Washington news. I think a little bump to Gordon Hayward, Bridges, even LaMelo get a little usage bump there. So
Oubre started and played. What did he play? 23 minutes. So yeah, there's options.
Yeah. And someone in chat, Slick Derula, he mentioned talking about Cam Reddish. He said Cam chucked 29 shots the first 2 games and has a 39% usage rate. Yeah, he's absolutely chucking the ball. And now without DeAndre Hunter, 4,700, I think is a very interesting price tag. And I doubt he becomes chalky. So I think that's a very good play. Appreciate the stats, Slick Derula. We'll get into the next game. We are waiting Bradley Beal news in that game, like we talked about. And then, the one guy, Mangone mentioned him a little bit, but Claxton. I love Clax as a player. When he plays with James Harden, like Mangone said, he's a lot better. So very interesting and good play over there for cheap on DraftKings. The next game, the Bulls and the Raptors. The Bulls are favored by 1.5. We have news in this game too. Vooch is questionable, which is very big news because if he's out, the usage, Lonzo, Levine, DeRozan would all get massive usage bumps. I wouldn't really have too much interest, I don't think, at first glance on the backup centers or stuff. I don't know if it'd be a Tony Bradley or Elise Johnson, but I'd mainly be interested, I think, in the other pieces who gets the usage bump. Mangone, I'll go over to you. How do you see this game, and what does Vooch news mean to you if he's out?
Yeah, I mean, the Vooch news is big. That would probably, and we don't know for sure, but it would probably slide Elise Johnson into the starting lineup. Now, will that make Elise Johnson be in there for good? Will he be safe? Could he get into foul trouble? Yeah, all those things are definitely possible here. I also think you could see a lot more small ball lineups from this team. Billy Donovan actually talked about how he did like Patrick Williams at the 5 a little bit, right? And they're not going to start with Patrick Williams at the 5. What I could see them doing is Elise Johnson gets that start. If he doesn't play well or if it's not working out, I could see them going to that closeout lineup of Patrick Williams at the 5, right? You could see Lonzo Ball, Alex Caruso, Zach LaVine, DDR at the 4, and then you could see Pat Williams at the 5. I think that's definitely a route that they might go. Of course, if that's the case, then the rim protection is a little bad down low, and that means a guy like Scotty Barnes, who's been attacking the rim a ton, he's going to probably have a good game at the rim. You got Precious, who could easily eat down low. We know what his fantasy point per minute can be. Even OG, I mean, he's been phenomenal. I'm pretty done on the Fred VanVleet thing. I haven't really played him. He's been in play, but mainly the reason why I haven't played Fred VanVleet, not because I didn't think he was a great play. I just felt like position-wise, looking at every single slate, shooting guard, I didn't want to spend my salary that way. I wanted to spend it in other areas. And would you rather spend your salary on Fred VanVleet or Malcolm Brogdon? I know they're not the same position, but that's why I'm kind of going down in a shooting guard position rather than going up to a Fred VanVleet. So that's kind of my overall takeaway on this game. I also think the Bulls side, like, yes, if Vucevic is out, Ball is in play more on FanDuel than DraftKings because of the price tag. I think Zach LaVine is a decent play, especially if Vucevic's out, because that'll funnel some more usage over to a guy like Zach LaVine. And like I said before, shooting guard is not the greatest position. So let's say that Vucevic is out. We're not scared of the Raptors team, and they're bad at the rim. Well, Zach LaVine could have a massive game. And if Zach LaVine goes for, let's say, 50, 60 fantasy points, which is not crazy, you're going to have a huge leg up on the field if a lot of people are not, they're spending down to some of these other guys that we talked about. Like, sure, I love Chris Duarte, but he could easily miss some shots, right? I mean, Jeremy Lamb is someone that could be a shooting guard that has a terrible game. I just think you could separate yourself from the field if you pay up in tournaments for someone at the shooting guard position. And if Vucevic's out, Zach LaVine could be that guy.
Yeah, I think those are very good points. A low-owned Zach LaVine will get the usage bump without Vooch. We've seen him have ceiling games plenty of times, so definitely like that call. If Vooch is in, personally, I don't really have interest in this game as a whole. Low over under. Prices seem pretty appropriate. We have a 9-game slate. So that's kind of how I'm approaching it. Before I go over to Hoop, though, just looked at the likes. Over 500 watching, 162 likes. Hit the like and subscribe button for us, please. I'm not going to threaten no plays of the day or stuff like that, but just be a nice, genuine person with some good mojo leading into the slate. Hit the like button for us, please. Takes a second, and we do appreciate it. And if you're not a member, RPS NBA 15 gets you 15% off your life subscription. Bunch of sports going on right now. There's no better time to be a member. So sign up, join the movement, get in Discord. If you're a member, you have to be in Discord. It's the best part, in my opinion, the product. Can ask questions anytime, talk any sports. So make sure you join, make sure you get in Discord and check the site for all our sports and plays. Hoop, I'll go to you in this game, though. If Vooch is in, do you have any interest in this game? If so, and then if he's out, what does that do for you?
Not a ton of interest if he's in. On the Bulls side, first, let me clarify that. So on the Bulls side, not a ton of interest if he's in. Lonzo Ball has a good price tag on FanDuel at 6.2K. I think he's in play probably either way. Then the other guy I want to talk about, DeMar DeRozan. I think he's a fringe play regardless as well. I mean, you look what DeMar's been doing. I mean, you know he's going to score. He always scores. He's a scorer. He'll score somewhere around 20, a realistic floor points, like 18 to 20 actual points. Well, he's a guy that's always been pretty scoring dependent, but so far this season, in terms of rebounds and assists, first game, 9 combined rebounds and assists. Second game, 10 combined rebounds and assists. Third game, 12. And those aren't massive numbers, but for a guy like DeRozan that has always been pretty scoring dependent, if he's going to be somewhere between 9 and 12 rebounds and assists every game, which, there's going to be some floor games in those departments and some ceiling games, but if he's going to average in that department, he's a play at 7.3K and 7.4K on FanDuel. So I'm a little skeptical if that's, really going to be him this year. But if it is, it's something to watch out for because he creates a very nice, stable fantasy scoring floor with those peripheral stats. So don't hate him. If Vooch is out, I actually like him quite a bit. On the Raptors side, Scotty Barnes appears to be the real deal. Good price tag on FanDuel at 5.1K. The 5.9 on DK is not great, but he looks good. This rookie class, man, these guys are coming out strong. They're coming out real strong. The other guy that I don't mind is Precious. I've been playing. Let's see. I got up to 34 minutes last time out, and he's a guy. If he's going to play 30 minutes, he's just so active and aggressive out there that I think he's appealing for DFS. 4.5K on DK, 4.6K I believe on FanDuel. Yep. So I think he's a strong play over there if we can kind of bank on 30 minutes for him. But this game overall pretty dependent on what happens with Vooch. But like I said, Lonzo at 6.2 on FanDuel stands out, and DeMar DeRozan I'm pretty interested in regardless.
Yeah, Vooch news definitely is very big on the slate. I like the Precious call. I like we talked about the rookies. If you guys were watching last week on the Wednesday show, I know for sure, but we talked about getting ahead on the rookies, playing them early. Their ownership's usually lower because their role is more unknown, but they've actually came out hot. Precious Achiuwa is always very active, rebounds, points. I think he's a strong play. He's only $12 on Yahoo too. I know some people have been playing on Yahoo more. I've been dabbling, especially when they overlay those NFL tournaments that they have guaranteed overlay. You definitely should be looking to join those over there. So Yahoo, Precious is only $12. Very strong play. Looking at the chat a little bit, someone said, Daniel Meredith said, the absolute lock tonight is Dinwiddie. Major revenge game. We didn't even talk about the little revenge narrative too. Mangone, I was leaving that up to you. You're the revenge guy usually, but Dinwiddie is taking on the Nets too. So I don't know if you have anything to say that. I already like Dinwiddie, especially if Beal is out, but a little revenge never hurts, right, Mangone?
Yeah, I thought I said the revenge thing. I just didn't really make a big deal on it. I think I just said it in passing, but yeah, I mean, the revenge thing is fine, but that price tag again, it's 7K is if Beal is out, he's still in play, but he won't be just like this like lock and load play. He'll be a very good play though for sure. But yeah, there's a lot of point guards on this slate. Like another guy who's benefited from players being out, like Ricky Rubio, right? Like it's another point guard on the slate that could be a really good play too. So moral of the story is point guard is really, really deep on this slate for sure.
Yeah. I might have missed that. You might have said it. And then Tyler, our boy on the bet side, said in chat, he said, Mangone, Patrick Williams double plus 2,000. So if you expect him maybe to get some center minutes, plus 2,000 for somebody, he's going to get over 10 points, I think. The usage would be more. If he plays center, I think that's a very good call, Tyler. Plus 2,000. There's a lot of value on that number. So if you're not a member with the Run Pure Bet side either, I'd make sure to go check it out. They've absolutely been killing it over there. We'll go over to the next game, though. The Magic and the Heat. The Heat are 13-point favorites. We have a low over-under at 211.5. I'll go over to you, Hoop. On FanDuel yesterday, Cole Anthony was chalk and absolutely smashed. Got some other options. Franz Wagner, Jalen Suggs, Mo Bamba. So touch on this Magic team, even though they are big dogs, and then anybody on the Heat you have interest in.
Yeah, I mean, Cole Anthony just absolutely, goes bonkers yesterday. I mean, out of nowhere for like 60 fantasy points. Crazy. Now, back-to-back, one of the last spots I'd want to be going on a back-to-back is to Miami, like an aggressive team, defensive team. So it's tough for these guys, but the good thing is the price is a little more so on FanDuel. Like Cole Anthony is still 4.9 on FanDuel. Franz Wagner, however you pronounce it, is, 4K. So the prices are better over there, but this is definitely a concerning spot for sure. Back-to-back in Miami. On the Miami side, similarly to Saturday, we need to see what happens with Lowry. If Lowry is in, probably not playing too many of these guys. Maybe Bam. I think Bam's still in. Bam looks good this year. I haven't been much of a Bam guy, but he looks very solid, very aggressive. So Bam, I think, in play either way. If Lowry's out, we're probably just going to be loading back up on the Heat guys. Butler, Bam, Tyler Hero looks amazing. I mean, just absolutely amazing out there. And maybe he's in play either way. In tournaments, I would say, yes, he's in play either way for how well he's playing. Better price tag on FanDuel opposed to DK, but he's been phenomenal. But really, what you do here is going to be dictated by whether or not Kyle Lowry is in or out.
Yeah, the Kyle Lowry news definitely is, but Hero, last year he was definitely he got shit on last year after a really good year before. Now he's coming back. Looks really good for sure. Cole Anthony, I don't think you see another 16 rebound performance again from him. But yeah, he has a good price tag on FanDuel, I guess. Mangone, you chasing the Cole Anthony night? Going anyone on this Heat team? Talk about if Lowry is in or out for us.
Yeah, not chasing it. Again, point guard is kind of deep. On FanDuel, I think he's shooting guard eligible. There's a little multi-position eligibility is makes it where you probably don't have to go in. But if you are punting the spot or giving cheaper, I don't hate him. I like Jalen Suggs at shooting guard at 5'1". Think he's fine. Think Franz Wagner too is a nice cheap option on this team. And the one thing that's nice about the Magic is you kind of know that they're just going to get their run. Even if they get blown out, they're not really bringing in the bums. They're just these guys starting are the bums. We're just going to roll it out there. We're going to give them decent minutes. If one of the guys off the bench kind of gets hot, yeah, maybe one of the starters gets cut a couple of minutes here or there, but that's kind of it. So that's one thing I don't mind with the Magic. You saw Terrence Ross the other day. He was I think last night he was getting absolutely destroyed. I think he had 6 fantasy points, and then he just kind of rolled and got hot. And that's going to happen with these Magic guys. They're going to let him shoot. They're going to let it fly. And there's just not a ton of guys that are actually good at basketball on this roster. Mo Bamba is a guy that is interesting. On FanDuel, I know he had the power forward eligibility. I doubt they took it off yet, but he's definitely someone that's in play over there. And then on the Heat side, Bam, Butler, Tyler Hero, they are all in play if Lowry is out. And listen, Tyler Hero, I'm going to agree with what Hoop said. He's looked absolutely phenomenal. And the usage has been great. I think he's a 33% usage rate. Of course, that's partially because of the Lowry stuff, but he's in play. And we need that Lowry news to make the decision on what to do with the Heat.
Yeah, most definitely. And you're talking about Terrence Ross. I had him yesterday. I was watching the NFL and stuff, but I was checking basketball once in a while. He had 1 point or 2 points at halftime or something. Next thing I looked, he was at 30 plus. That's Terrence Ross. If you know who Terrence Ross is, you've been following basketball for a while. He chucks it. He can get hot. Otherwise, if he keeps missing, he's going to get a snowflake. But I think these Magic guys, blowout run, I still expect Suggs to play in blowout run, Franz Wagner, stuff like that. So I'm not worried about that part since they're a bad team as much as I would be if the Bucks were down by 25. You're not going to see Giannis and stuff like that. So interesting game. Do have to wait for Lowry news there. We'll get into the next game, though. The Pelicans and the Timberwolves. Timberwolves are 5.5-point favorites, 226 total. I think there's some interesting pieces. We talked about Joe Val earlier. Zion's still not playing, so Brandon Ingram is getting all the usage he can handle. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, he's just a very good player. He's been shooting a lot, putting up some numbers too. Then going to the other side of the Timberwolves, Karl Anthony Towns, I think, is very interesting. D'Angelo Russell has been popular recently on FanDuel. Anthony Edwards always has a lot of upside. So I think this is an interesting game with a pretty close spread that you can stack up and should be high paced. I'll go to you, Hoop. What are your thoughts on this game? Some of your favorite plays?
Yeah, I mean, one of the premier DFS games on this slate. I mean, 226 total, 5.5, 6-point spread, nothing, too crazy. You don't have to really worry about the blowout all that much. Yes, it could obviously happen, but you don't need to be all that concerned. A lot of solid pieces here all around. So we talked about the Valanciunas thing. He remains 6.6K on FanDuel, just a complete joke of a price tag. 30, 35, 55 fantasy points last time out in this matchup. Should have his way here again today. It's just kind of like a free square on FanDuel, whether you're playing cash games and even in tournaments, just a very, very strong play. Brandon Ingram has just been solid all 3 games. I mean, if you want, probably a good cash game type play, 43, 48, 44 fantasy points. He's right around 8K, just a safe bet to get you like 40 fantasy points, which is not a bad score at his price tag. Alexander Walker has been great, better price tag on FanDuel where he's like right around 6K. Another guy that I do like as well, Devontae Graham. He's been getting a lot of minutes. 29, then 36 last game. Had a 40 fantasy point game, game 2, 31 the first game, kind of stinker last time out. I like him too. And then you go to the Timberwolves side. Yeah, D'Angelo Russell is just always going to be like a frustrating DFS play. But honestly, turning into, yes, he's cash game viable when he's cheaper, but the nature of his results just lean more towards like a GPP type play. But he is a guy that is capable of putting up a really big score. Anthony Edwards has looked phenomenal. Karl Anthony Towns, obviously a great play. There's 7 or 8 guys in this game that are in play in some way, shape, or form. Should be a good one here.
Yeah, you mentioned Devontae Graham, who I didn't mention. I think he is a very strong play, 5.4K on DraftKings, so I like him. Then another guy I didn't mention, Jaden McDaniels. If you want a cheap value play at 3.5K, he played 25 and 27 minutes. I think he's a strong play, a good point per minute producer too when he gets the minutes. So I really like this game for sure. A lot of options. Mangone, what are some of your favorite plays, thoughts on this game?
Yeah, real quick, do we have any news on Josh Hart? Is he in officially yet or what?
I'm still seeing questionable, which, yeah. Oh, Jaylen Brown, by the way, he will play as well. Bradley Beal will play. But no, Josh Hart, I'm still seeing questionable, which, yeah, it means a little bit for the Pelicans and some of their guys, but.
Well, I think it means something because you slide in Trey Murphy in that lineup, and like Trey Murphy's not a usage guy, right? So like the key, I think, in basketball is always when a guy gets put in the starting lineup, it's always like, oh, should I play this guy? It's like, well, if they're a usage guy with other usage hogs, probably not, right? And if like you take a usage guy out of the lineup, man, it's going to be really big for the other guys that are on the court. You look for the next guy that's going to soak it all up. And when they put in a guy like Trey Murphy, I'm not worried about him stealing up usage. Even Devontae Graham, he's not really a guy that's stealing it all. It's Nickeil Alexander-Walker, which he shot 24 shots last game, and the coach is encouraging him to shoot. Like they want him to be the guy there. It's not going to be Devontae Graham. When we get down to it at the end of the year, Nickeil Alexander-Walker is going to be the alpha way over a guy like Graham. Brandon Ingram too. I mean, his alpha roll is incredible, and he has triple-double upside on a site like DraftKings easily. And he's someone that I think you just don't want to ignore even at 8.3K. And then Valanciunas too. He's another guy that you don't want to ignore. The coach was talking about it. He said, when we play these bigger big men, he wants Valanciunas to have the ball. And the reason why he wants Valanciunas to have the balls, he wants him to just go at the other center and tire him out. So he's tired on the offensive end, especially when it's a guy that's like a big center, like a Karl Anthony Towns. Well, Karl Anthony Towns, if he wasn't stuck in Minnesota, would be known as a really amazing big man in the league. Sure, some of us know that, but the general public doesn't. So I think that a guy like Jonas Valanciunas on FanDuel, too cheap. DraftKings at 7.9. You can still play him in tournaments and he won't be owned. Ingram, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, I would not ignore them at all. I think they're really, really good plays in tournaments on this slate, and you can consider them in cash games. On the Timberwolves side, I'm with who? D'Angelo Russell, I don't need to play. If you're playing tournaments and you want to take a shot, sure, he has the upside. I totally understand. I'm going to side with Anthony Edwards. I love sliding him on DraftKings at the shooting guard spot. He's also good for FanDuel too. Even though the price is up, it feels expensive, but he's been working on his steals and blocks in the offseason, and it showed in preseason, and they haven't shown yet, but he is going to have games like you saw Porzingis the other day. He had 5 stocks on FanDuel, and instead of getting 30 fantasy points, he got 45. And that's going to happen with Anthony Edwards a lot this year. He's going to have these massive ceiling games over on FanDuel. Also, he shot 22 shots in 2 of those games, where he's someone that I just want to be buying in on right now. I like him as a really good contrarian spend-up shooting guard on this slate, like I talked about with Zach LaVine. I think Anthony Edwards at 7.5 on DraftKings is a really good one to target here. And he also has the double-double upside. And even he could get a triple-double if he really got rolled.
Yeah, very good points there. And Popular Mark QB, he took my words out of my mouth. That I was going to say is Josh Hart's a very good rebounder as well. So then there goes more rebounds to Jovel, Ingram, maybe Devontae Graham. I mean, the whole team has to rebound more. So, yeah, the Hart news definitely does mean something on this slate. We just got news. Drew Holiday is out. Bobby Portis is out. Al Horford is out. Robert Williams. So the starters, Schroeder, Smart, Brown, Tatum, Robert Williams for the Celtics. Yeah, Horford out.
Also, they're keeping Schroeder in there, huh?
Yep, keeping Schroeder at point guard. Robert Williams.
That Horford news is huge for Robert Williams, though.
Yes.
That's the one that's big.
One of the strongest plays on the slate, I'll say. Good price on both sides.
The worry with him, he is just so stocks dependent. He's so dependent on the steals and the blocks. I mean, I think he's a good play, don't get me wrong. But we saw the floor yesterday, and the floor is low. The
floor is correlated with Al Horford playing next to him.
True. Yeah. No, I get it. I mean, you look at what Horford did yesterday. He got a ton of steals and blocks. You know, those will probably go to Robert Williams tonight. I'm just saying the floor is pretty low on Robert Williams. I mean, there is a skill in steals and blocks, but a lot of times it's a highly variant type thing.
So in tournaments, you're saying you'd be underweight on Robert Williams at his elevated ownership?
Yeah. What's the
Can I ask Coop in cash games? Coop, cash games. Will he be on your lineup? Can I put that minus 1,000 bet on DraftKings.com at 6.1?
At DraftKings at 6.1, yeah. Is he still 7K on FanDuel? Because like the 7K on FanDuel, I don't think if that's still where he is. Where is he? He's 7.1K on FanDuel. Now the steals and blocks are more important on FanDuel, so it's interesting. I mean, I'm not saying he's a terrible play. I'm just saying I think the floor is a little bit lower than people are willing to acknowledge. I will say though, the Portis thing's pretty damn big because you go back to this Bucks situation. Drew out. Yeah, I mean they are thin, and they'll play these other guys. Don't get me wrong, but if this is a competitive game, which I think it will be, I think we could see some explosions here for these Bucks guys.
Yeah, I mean, Giannis without Drew, Bobby, Giannis is going to put up 70 piece. He's going to be a staple in a lot of
great spot. I mean, it's a great matchup. I mean, the Pacers play quick. There's not much. I think it's a great spot for Giannis, Middleton, Nwora, and that's not crazy. It's not any groundbreaking news, but they're thin. They're very thin.
Yeah, Nwora has a good price tag. George Hill might slide into the starting lineup for Drew. They still have Grayson Allen. I mean, their bench is depleted for sure. So I think the Bucks are very interesting. The one that might go overlooked is Middleton. And if he goes overlooked, I'm just going to play him in tournaments. It's a spot where no Drew, no Bobby. I don't know for sure. Haven't updated projections at all and stuff. I haven't seen what the builds are. But if Middleton's not played, which now he might be because Drew's out, I would play Middleton for sure. We know he has the upside as well. So here the news starts breaking. A good reason, not all the news is going to be out before the show's over or when the show's over. So another reason to watch Up to Lock Show. Holden, BigT, JSU, I believe, is the crew today. And make sure you see injury news comes. They talk about it, what changes, the core plays, playbook, cash chart, you name it, all on the site. RPS NBA 15 gets you 15% off your life subscription to see all that. We have 572 watching, 236 likes. Not bad, but we definitely can do a little better than that. Only 2 games left, then the plays of the day. So hit the like and subscribe button for us, please. We do appreciate it. We'll go over to the next game, the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Nuggets. The Nuggets are 10-point favorites. We have an over-under at 220.5. And the big news in this game is Darius Garland is questionable. If he's out, Rubio is going to continue to start. He's been very solid. I think he becomes a strong play. As far as Jokic, he definitely isn't one of my favorite spend notes on the slate and stuff because of the blowout risk a little bit. But hey, anytime Jokic is going to be low owned, we know he has the upside. The guy I'm most interested in is Michael Porter Jr. He has a silly price tag on DraftKings at 6K. I think that's a very strong play. So I'll go over to you, Mangone, Denver and Cleveland. What does the Garland news do for you? Any interest in this game?
Yeah, I mean, if we get Garland out, I mean, that's going to be really good for Ricky Rubio. Definitely think he'll be a strong play. The question is, though, like, how does he compare to some of these other point guards in your construction of your lineup? I think that's going to be really key. Evan Mobley has been phenomenal. Definitely someone that I think you can still even play at that price. Of course, you have to understand there's definitely risk to a floor and some little unknown that you don't know. But hey, I think he's still in the conversation of something that you could roster more so for I think more for tournaments rather than cash games now, especially some of the news that we've gotten. And then for the Denver Nuggets, I mean, sure, Jokic is a fine spend up. If he has that massive game, that's great. But it is the first night of a back-to-back, right? There just could be reasons why Mike Malone just tinkers with a bunch of stuff and messes with things. And I don't know, Hoop, you're kind of like me. Like, if we can choose not to stay near Mike Malone, it's not a 3-game slate. Why mess with it? I think it's a good time to just say, hey, Ricky Rubio in this game and just move on.
Yeah, I'm kind of in lockstep. I mean, it's just not a very appealing game. Playing in Denver's always tough. Denver's clearly the better team. I think Rubio, if Garland's out, yes, I think he's a solid play. Porter Jr. at 6K on DK, standout price tag in play. Just not a spot where I want to just go bonkers and load up. So I think this is a game that feels good being very underweight on it. I love Evan Mobley. I love what I've seen out of this kid. He looks like he's going to be solid. There's going to be spots where we play him. I've played him a ton so far this season. I just don't think this is the spot to go ahead and deploy him. So going to be underweight on this one unless Garland's out, then Rubio, and then on the Denver side, Porter Jr., and that's going to be about it.
Yep, I definitely agree. I'm in lockstep there. And I misspoke on who was on the Up to Lock show. K Fallick informed DC, K Fallick himself, and JSU is up to lock. What a great trio, according to K Fallick in his own words. But hey, I second that. K Fallick, JSU, DC, good crew, up to lock, bringing you the winners. Just got to be a member, RPS NBA 15. Then some people have asked, how do you find those shows? They're new members and can't find it. Either on the website, you can find all of our shows, or in the Discord, always under media alerts. All the shows are posted. You can just click on that link there. We'll get into the last game. First, 565 watching, 258 likes. I would love if you guys could get us to 300. I'm not going to look back until the plays of the day. Only 40 more pretty much. If you guys got to 300, that would be very impressive. But you guys are doing well. We appreciate it. Getting into the last game.
Being able to afford K Fallick on the Up to Lock show, I mean, that just shows you the bankroll that RPS is rolling with. I mean, the high item guy like K Fallick, I mean, whoo, that doesn't come at a cheap tag. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, K Fallick definitely he gets paid a little less than I think he deserves, but hey, K Fallick, we appreciate it all. He's on the Up to Lock show. The last game, this is an interesting one. A 231, the biggest over under on the slate. The Clippers are 3-point favorites. It's going to be a close game, but I don't see too much ownership being in this game. I mean, I'd always a Dame late night hammer, a CJ McCollum late night hammer, CJ 7-5 on DraftKings, Dame's 9-3. So it's not like they're 10K plus. I don't mind Terrence Mann on the Clippers side at 4-4. This game's not really getting ownership, Hoops. So how do you approach this game in tournaments as a close spread and a big total?
Yeah, I think you nailed it. I mean, you got the biggest total on the slate, close spread, solid fantasy options here on both sides. I think this is like the GPP late night hammer, like wet dream. I mean, this is the spot right here. No ownership on the studs, probably minimal ownership on the secondary pieces. This is what you want, and I think it sets up to be a good matchup too, in terms of being able to predict who's going to play a lot. The Trailblazers are going to roll out, Lillard and McCollum a ton, which will force the Clippers to play guys like Reggie Jackson, Eric Bledsoe, Terrence Mann a lot. So I think those guys are great plays. Obviously, Paul George will play a ton. Lillard and McCollum will play. So a lot of different ways to go in this game. Should be really low owned. CJ McCollum has looked great so far this season. I mean, he's looked really, really good. He's got a good price tag tonight at 7.5K on DK. Lillard, like you said, at 9.3. No one's going to play Paul George at 10.1. If people are going over 10K, it's probably going to be to go to Giannis, not Paul George. Great GPP game here.
Yeah, I was going to mention Paul George. He's going to be 5% owned. He's absolutely been smashing to start the year. Kawhi obviously is not in the equation anymore. Close spread. I mean, this is a game I'm definitely going to be overweight on. And why the reason like stacking isn't as important in NBA, it's really not important at all. But the reason to stack is, I mean, you hope you can bank OT or you get a Dame and Paul George night game where they just go back and forth. We've seen it so many times. So a sub 10% game with some studs and good prices, I think there's a lot of merit to playing it. Good upside in tournaments. Mangone, throw it to you. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a good game. It's not one I'm like sitting here and prioritizing, which of course it's a massive total, right? I mean, 231, it's definitely a good one on the slate. So I think it's a game that's in play, but I don't know. I don't know what to do with Damian Lillard. Feels like he's kind of deferring a little bit. We saw this last year, right? We saw Damian Lillard defer to CJ McCollum, and I still think he's kind of doing that a bit. I think CJ's not a bad play. I think he's decent in tournaments and people won't be on him, but not someone I'm like looking to load up on in cash games. Nurkic at 7K, he's fine, but I just prefer other center options. We got no Norman Powell, so Nasir Little's going to slide into the lineup at 3.8K. He could be a value saver, but again, not something I'm trying to load up on. And on the Clippers, like, I don't want to sleep on Paul George. I mean, Paul George has been phenomenal, and I don't know if like the projections are like ready for it. I don't know if like they're ready to give him like a 50 or 51 projection. I'm not saying he should be there, but you can make the argument that it's a little too low for the ownership that he is typically seeing, especially with all these other stars, right? People say, well, Jaylen Brown is questionable. Al Horford's out, so I'm going to play Tatum. They say, oh, well, we got James Harden in a really good spot, and Kyrie's still out, so he's in play. We got Drew out and Bobby Portis, so there's Giannis. Like, people are just not going to spend on Paul George, and Paul George can have a really good game. And also, you can just take the price difference between, like, I did this the other day. You can take the price difference between Giannis and Paul George and make like a 2v2 off kind of like a chalkier lineup, and it'll just make you different enough, and you can easily leap the field with that. So I wouldn't ignore Paul George against the Portland Trailblazers. I think he's a really, really strong tournament play.
Yep, I think all of us agree on that. This game in tournaments, very interesting at a low price tag. But that was all 9 games. Think we got a very good breakdown. Got some injury news that we talked about on the slate, but again, not all the injury news is out. We're waiting for some big ones. Up to Lock Show, JSU, DC, K-Fallic breaking it down. RPS NBA 15 gets you 15% off your life subscription. Appreciate everyone hanging out with us. D-Gaz in chat, Uncle T, our boy, Derek, Todd, Billy. Appreciate everyone hanging out on this Monday, but it's time for the plays of the day, the favorite part. I'm going to go over to you first, Mangone. Still don't know your exact play of the day, but what is it today?
I'm going my boy Ant Edwards at shooting guard. Ant Edwards is, and you put him at shooting guard. You don't put him at the small forward spot because shooting guard's a little bit weaker. And he's a really good spend up guy, and also in the optimizer, right? Just prioritize the position. Put shooting guard in there because, again, I think a lot of people are going down for cheaper. I think Ant Edwards has the ability to get 50 fantasy points here, and I'm going to go on Ant Edwards at that 7.5K price tag.
I like it for sure. I'll go to myself first before Hoop's going to cap it off for us. I'm going to go with the SO play of the day. I'm going to go Miles Turner. I know I'm going to have a lot of bucks, and I want somebody in that game as well. I think Miles Turner can absolutely feast on the glass today. Double-double, I think, is in the realm of possibilities. And I just like his upside a lot at 5,500. He doesn't break the bank. So give me Miles Turner, 5,500 as the SO play of the day. Hoop, I'll throw it over to you. Cap it off. The rich parents play of the day, I think, is now the new one instead of 4X. Rich parents play of the day. Who's getting your parents a little more rich today?
Yeah, the player that is going to pad the parents' pocketbooks tonight is going to be CJ McCollum. I kind of just sold myself on CJ in that last game. I liked what Mangone was saying with Damian Lillard kind of deferring to CJ, and I think that's been the case so far this season. 2 games, very solid. 58 fantasy points game 1. 44 game 2. That was against the Suns. I believe that was a blowout as well. So he didn't get his full run, only played like 29, 30 minutes. Give me CJ McCollum as the rich parents play of the day. And we just got a little more news. Kyle Lowry is still listed as questionable, but intends to play. So that kind of takes a lot of those Heat guys out of play for me.
Yep, that news, that's very big news. Gallinari is out. And then Jaylen Brown likely to be limited to around 30 minutes today. Who knows what that means? Around.
Didn't they say that game one and he played like 48 minutes or something?
Yeah, I was gonna say likely in around 30 minutes. I don't know about that, but he is playing. More news is coming. Check up the F to Lock show. We appreciate everyone hanging out with us. Anthony Edwards for Mangone, CJ McCollum for Hoop, Miles Turner for myself. Get them in your lineups. RPS will be up at the top tonight. Appreciate everyone hanging out. RPS NBA 15 gets you 15% off if you are not a member. Time to get out of here, though. For Mangone, for Hoop, myself, Titletown. Good luck, everybody.